Nightwing number 9, written by Kyle Higgins, art by Eddie Barrows and Andre Guinaldo. This is the second part of the Night of the Owls tie-in for Nightwing, and last issue wrapped up with Nightwing going to protect the mayor, and we see a Talon coming to attack, and the Talon is actually Nightwing's great-grandfather. I think it's only one great, William Cobb. And we got some backstory on how he fell in love and then everything went to hell and he was betrayed. So let's see what happened there. I'm just going to go ahead and give all of William's backstory, which is actually split up over the course of the issue between fighting with Nightwing, but it's easier to just get it all out in one bit. So we open up and he's basically saying like, I was still in love with Amelia, my one and only, but I, of course, was on the road for weeks at a time as I was in Haley's circus, until one day her father, who seemingly didn't really care much for her or me, called me aside and wanted to have a chat. And he basically told him, like, hey, no matter what you do, you're still not worthy of my daughter. Like, you're always going to be the kid from the mud. You're always going to have mud on your shoes, so you're never going to be able to change that. And then we cut to throughout the entire time that they're dating. They find out that Amelia gets pregnant, and they're trying to figure out what to do because the father's approval does mean something. Like they have to be able to get that. And in the end, they realize, look, it's not going to work. That they can't manage to do this, so they end up going their separate ways. The father marries off Amelia to apparently a second cousin, thus keeping it all in the family, and no one knows the true identity of their child. And so, of course, Cobb is very upset about that, and he stops and he thinks to himself, like, in Gotham, nothing can change. It's always going to be like this. This is how it is. And Haley, the guy who's running the circus at that time, is like, what if I told you there is another way? Wink, wink. And he basically tells him, work for the Court of Owls. You can be a Talon. You can actually like fight against the system that's causing these issues. So it shows a bit of his training montage where he is literally put in the labyrinth that Batman was put in Batman number, I think it was 6 or so. And he's just driven mad. But when he gets back out, he's trained, he's strong, he's able to fight, and he's one by one taking out all these people in the city who were doing the same things as Amelia's father. But then we see one night that he realizes that his son, his heir, his true son, needs to be able to follow in his footsteps and do that same thing. So he breaks into the Crown's residence at night, steals his son, and says, raise him in the circus and make sure that he knows that he is neither the black nor the white. He is the gray son of Gotham. Get it? Gray son. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, so that's the gist of his origin story. But then we cut through the rest of the fight scene is going on. So Nightwing has a bunch of daggers in him. He tells the mayor and the deputy to get to a vault or some sort of panic room and stay in there. Don't open it for anyone. And Nightwing tackles Talon out of a window down multiple stories. Nightwing managed to use one of his grapples to survive the fall, but the Talon hits a car on the street head on, which of course does nothing to him because he's able to fix all of his bones or whatever. So a bit more of a fight scene breaks out, and a lot of this boils down to William saying, look, you were meant to be another Talon. You were meant to be someone who could upset the system, who could make a change. But instead, you're still playing second best. You are still second to the damn Batman. And you will never be able to step out of that shadow if you do that. And Nightwing's like, shut up. That's not how it is at all. So they keep on fighting, and Talon is landing some really brutal hits into Dick. He's bleeding out pretty bad. He stumbles his way down into a subway station, to which the Talon picks him up and pins him to a wall and just tells him, like, you rejected the future that I laid out for you. You gave up on that destiny, and now this is the penalty for it. But then Dick reveals that, in actuality, this was all his plan, because down in the subways, in order to insulate their cables or whatever, they started funneling in liquid nitrogen for cooling. So he he stabs one of the tubes for liquid nitrogen, which causes the Talon to basically instantly freeze. And he gives one last dire warning of like, you will never escape this, as Nightwing picks up the Talon, walks out of the subway station, and says like, Destiny Schmestiny. And that's it. That's where that whole thing leads off. I genuinely, I thought this was very good. As a two-parter, I don't know how I feel about just this one issue individually, but as a two-parter, I think that it was the same Talon that Batman was fighting for the entirety of the lead up to this event. It was a lot of character development getting in there. It basically said how he is the best Talon. He was the one that's the reason he was unfrozen to begin with, to take out all these people, was because he is the best Talon. And I think it does a good job of showing like, yeah, no, he definitely had the skills for it. So overall, I would give this one a 7.5, and I think the only reason I'm that low, because it does feel like I should be higher, the only reason I'm that low is the fact of it doesn't feel quite like an earned win to me. Like, yes, Dick managed to get the upper hand just by being a little bit more clever, but when it comes down to being the best Talon and one that like Batman had like an impossible time defeating, I don't know. I feel like there should have been a little bit more to it in terms of Dick having to overcome something, but instead he was just like, nah, my first plan worked, like whatever. So 7.5 for that, but overall art's great. Any segment here where he's talking about his past, I think I said before, looked great. It still does. This last page, it's got this white border around it, and it's particularly like stylized of the Talon mask just pinned to a wall. Looks great. I cannot speak poorly on the art at all. So yeah, no, 7.5 for this, and I'm looking forward to seeing where Nightwing continues post Talons now, I guess.